Hello and welcome to this fireside with Ayush Gupta. He's the Director HR at GAIL India Limited, and he will share his thoughts on women in oil and gas, building a pipeline for a more inclusive and diverse talent. Mr. Gupta, welcome to Economic Times.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
We're very happy to have you. You know, the representation of women in oil and gas industry is very low, and this is not just the case in India, but it's the case the world over. A McKinsey article says that women make up only about 15% of the oil and gas workforce. You know, from your vantage, tell us what keeps women from choosing this sector as a viable career option?
See, the report or the data speaks of itself in terms of the low representation. There's no doubt about it. And what we see practically also is very much true. Within the Indian companies, if we see, within GAIL, if I have to specifically see, the representation is quite low. And one of the few factors, apart from many other reasons, is the oil and gas sector per se is considered to be a male-dominated sector. And apart from being male-dominated, it is also perceived to be a very tough working condition kind of a sector where
Right.
people may have to work in remote areas, odd hours in oil fields or gas fields out there for pipeline constructions or refineries, which is also not just tough working, but also hazardous in terms of safety concerns. So that is one perception about the sector per se, which possibly keeps the woman away or some people away from this sector, joining the sector. But apart from that, what I felt, because I have been in this space recruiting people for last 5 to 10 years, so I must have conducted more than 5,000 interviews, including male and female candidates who come and appear. Uh, One is a perceived notion about the sector, but then equally important factor which I feel is there is our own personal biases towards a particular kind of a role of job. And it's not just specific to a female or male, but it's there within both. It's so that at times that personal barrier or the bias that this role does not fit me without actually having worked or gone to the field, we are creating a barrier for our own selves. Okay, this is something which may not suit me, or I may not be comfortable going there and working in the field. But whereas we talk to the people or the female employees who are out there in the field, they feel very much comfortable. They say that we have an example. Recently, a female candidate joined GAIL last year, and she went to the field, and some kind of a softer role was given to her. She said, "No, I want to go out in the field just like climb ladder like others are doing. Why you are considering for this option?" So these kind of personal biases also come sometimes possibly discourage women to take up these roles. And no doubt the male dominance, if it is there, uh, the role models are not there. Enough role models are not there out there which will encourage women to take up these roles. So if they will go in a company, they will see how many males are working and how many female colleagues they will have when they are joining. And if the numbers are abysmally low, so that also may discourage them. Okay, I may not have enough companions there to be there. So I think those are some of the reasons because of which representation is low.
Right. But, you know, when you speak of biases, and you speak of biases, from coming from those people who are, prospective employees of the company. But what about biases that exist within the system, say within those hiring for the ONG sector? Would you feel, as an HR professional, that, it's more entrenched within this particular sector than other sectors?
Now, when I said biases, I said although I elaborated only one side of it, but I mentioned that the biases are there on both the sides. Even on the recruiting side, people have a bias that okay, if this is a tough role, maybe the woman candidate may not fit into that role. She may shy away from working in shifts or going to the field, and that job load may shift to the male counterparts. So at the time of recruitment, also I have seen at occasions that kind of bias being there, although that's with time that is going away, but that do exist. And across the industry, I feel that maybe one of the reasons where the recruiting panel hesitating in selecting women. Although in public sector and government sector, we have a provision that in all the recruiting panels, to eliminate this bias, at least one woman member has to be there in the selection panel itself, so that at least this kind of bias does not creep in while selecting people on merit. So, but that sometimes is there. I'll agree with you.
Right. There are a lot of women now coming into tech, right? We have data which says that, 40% of the engineers who graduate are women. But maybe fewer women pick up subjects like mechanical engineering, and maybe more men take up subjects like mechanical engineering, and that is thought to be perhaps by many as a seg into something like the oil and gas sector. How, from your vantage now, would you say that we can encourage more women to get into, fields uh, like the oil and gas sector?
So first of all, let me first agree with you with respect to the data that not lot many women are taking up courses like engineering and mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, core engineering fields or the manufacturing fields. If we look back 25 years back when I passed out my engineering in electrical, out of a class of 60, there were only five uh, females who were there in our class. So this is typically true with all the core engineering branches, whereas you'll see more women taking up chemical or instrumentation or computer science, or their inclination towards those fields will be more. And the same goes true when they are taking up the jobs also. So they'll be more
Right.
inclined to take up jobs in the service sectors rather than going to the core technical fields. And that brings us to a point where uh, we can state a problem and then what is the solution going forward? How can we encourage more and more women to take up the roles? But what I have observed in last 10 years, again going by the recruiting experience, this is opening up, although the pace is slow. But what we can reflect in the data from the data also, more and more girls are taking up science courses, which was earlier not there. Now you to see them taking up sciences in their class 11, 12, and graduation studies and excelling. They are excelling and doing better than the male counterparts, which is there. So, but the next step is that they are encouraged to take up engineering courses also, where the representation unfortunately is quite low as of now also. So there, I firmly believe the role has to be multifold, starting from their family itself, where their parents also set up and encourage them to take roles, and rather than telling them, okay, go to service sector or have a more comfortable job, because those values or the systems or beliefs start at a very early stage. It's not that after 20, 21 years, I can change the mind of the person. So that has to start from an early stage. The teachers, the faculty members who interact with the student, they are influencing their mind in terms of career decisions a lot. In typically in the Indian system, the family and the teachers at the school can influence this decision of a career choice to a great extent. So their interventions are to be required, but at the policy level, at the government level also, more encouraging opportunities needs to be created. Maybe some kind of incentives have to be rolled out. Like at one point of time, IIT said that okay, some seats will be reserved specifically for women in core engineering branches. So just to break that barrier, I'm not saying that there's a reservation needed to promote that, but just to prevent that mental barrier that these roles are specifically meant for males or men. Uh, we need some kind of these interventions for a few years.
So talk to us about some of the initiatives that you have taken, at GAIL, especially when it comes to ensuring diversity, because, study after study shows that diversity has reaped a lot of dividends for companies. So how can, those in the oil and gas sector, how can those companies attract, retain, and promote women?
See, I'll start with the attraction or the recruitment part first. As we were discussing earlier, though it remains a challenge in terms of number of women candidates applying for that particular role, say a typical role of a executive trainee, electrical engineering or mechanical engineering, because 70 to 80% of our roles or job roles are related to engineering field. So once we are agreeing to the fact that the number of female candidates taking up engineering courses are low, So in terms of the candidates coming for or applying for those roles is even lower. So that remains a challenge, but within that challenge, whosoever in terms of the applications who are coming, and our selection process over a few years, we have worked on eliminating the bias at the side of the recruiting level. That okay, we have to select the candidates based on their merit, not just on a bias that he is a male or a female, he or she may not be suitable or a field role or not. Give them a chance, let them perform. If they are not able to perform, maybe we'll think of shifting them to some other role. But let us not at the selection stage, let us not deny them the opportunity to be there. Once they have applied, it means they are clear that they are ready to join. They know the role description, they know the industry, they know the sector, they know the challenges of working in this industry. So, in spite of knowing that if somebody is applying, who am I to say that he or she may not be suitable for a particular role? Apart from that, not specifically to GAIL, but being a government of India's company and a public sector enterprises, all the policies and processes, they have been very, very woman-friendly policies and processes are there. Typically, if like one of the most common problem with female candidates or employees is that after maternity or when the childbirth is there, they'll have to take leave, or in some of the other sectors, they may have to leave the work and then try and join back the work. So we in GAIL have a policy where they have a apart from the maternity leave, which is statutory, they also get a 2 years child care leave. Up to 2 years of child care leave they can avail till their children attain an age of 18 years. So that can be taken in spells as and when required, when there some requirement is there to take care of their children. So that eliminates the need that okay, they are out of work and then they have to join back and try and get employment again. So that is there. Apart from that, most of our locations which are remote, I can say we have one of the best townships across the country, between be it a private sector or a public sector, in remote areas where we expect them to go. All the latest facilities, be it the residential facilities or sporting facilities or medical care facilities, they are available at those locations to make their life and stay comfortable. So that is again to attract that, okay, if somebody has to go in a remote area, they are not deprived of the modern day facilities. Apart from the city atmosphere, I think whatever best facilities they can imagine, that will be available, be it a swimming pool or a tennis court or a badminton court. And those are national level standard facilities which are available, including the medical and the healthcare. So those are proactively, those things are being taken care of, both at the facility or the infrastructure level, and also in terms of the policy decisions or facilitating women working at the workplace to make it safer, more comfortable, as well as enjoyable for them to be there.
All right. There's a lot of focus now on skilling, upskilling. There's also, the whole sustainability lens, which has come on companies. And let's admit, it's very tough for oil and gas companies, when we have to deal with the concepts of sustainability. So what sort of an impact do you see skilling and then this focus on sustainability have on women and roles in oil and gas companies?
When we are talking of sustainability, and especially again going back to the oil and gas sector, I feel this focus on sustainability has resulted into opening a lot more opportunities for women and their role in the efforts to have a sustainable organization. So that has considerably increased, as well as new opportunities are being created where the women employees can contribute more towards this objective being fulfilled by the organizations. Again, talking about GAIL only, with the last meeting we are just having before this meeting was also on sustainability and the net zero ambitions which GAIL has set in for our own selves. So we have a target of achieving the net zero emissions by 2040. So there also, when we are discussing various projects and avenues where we can achieve, make our business more sustainable and more environment friendly. So I foresee a great role and contribution from the women employees, not just in terms of bringing their technical knowledge and expertise which they carry, but also from the point of view of diversity of ideas, because these are some things which are not proven, which are yet being explored, different ways being explored how to achieve it. And that is where the diversity of ideas and thought process can really make a difference, because otherwise we have a traditional way of approaching certain things or achieving things. So when we have more diversity in the room, the diversity of ideas also come, diversity of ways of working also comes. So that is very, very important for all the organizations. And I'm sure, Mala, this will help to bring out the role of women also in a significant way, and lead them to for greater opportunity.
All right, Mr. Gupta, this is now my last question to you. Talk to us about some of the women champions that you've had at GAIL, and some of the milestones that you might have seen at GAIL, where, women have assumed pioneering roles. Let us leave the audience with some empowering stories and insights.
See, one of the stories I just narrated earlier, starting from a lower level or entry level executive, which I talked about last year. One girl joined with an experience of 2 to 3 years. She was working out there in the field, and when she joined a plant in Gale, some other role was being offered to her, and she came forward and demanded for a challenging role. That okay, no, I want to have an equal role. I want to like a refinery column is there or a cracker column is there, why you are not allowing me to go into that role? So that is really inspiring, and it's not just for her, for us, but for all the other women who are out there in the plant, that yes, this is what we can do. If she can do, why can't we do? And if some other male employee can do, why can't we take up that role? So that was really inspiring to me also. When I heard about her, I felt really nice that okay, we have made a right selection at the recruitment level. So, but apart from that, in terms of if we talk of the career progression also, uh, apart from the challenge being the lower numbers being there, but if we see in the career terms of the career progression in the past, we have seen women employees reaching up to the highest level just below the board level positions, because board level selections are outside game, so they are not internal selections, but people have reached the level of executive directors heading the particular verticals and departments, uh, not just in HR or software roles, we have in technical or business development roles or the corporate communications roles. We have had an examples where women employees have reached to that level, and they have been given those opportunities. They have not given, they have earned those opportunities by their sheer hard work, dedication, and commitment to the organization. And their talent has not just been recognized within GAIL, because oil and gas sector and PSUs have these kind of annual competitions where they recognize the women leaders. So there also GAIL employees, GAIL women employees have earned that recognition within the industry also, where they have been declared as the women leaders in the sector. So I think that shows that their contribution is valued in GAIL, and they have been contributing to the growth of the organization in a very, very positive and creative manner. And we are
Right,
all really proud of that.
right, and we hope that you continue to get more and more women wanting to join the ranks of other women, who helped make GAIL such a success. Mr. Ayush Gupta, thank you so very much for speaking to us here at Economic Times and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with you.